Over the last few weeks, Bungie has been ramping up its marketing for Marathon, with 2 big info drops back-to-back, a dev insight on player shells, and a firm release date, March 5th at $40 price point, and a free open preview before launch. I came away more impressed than I expected, but aware of what Bungie still needs to prove. In my last Marathon video, I said Marathon's re-reveal wasn't about hype, it was about earning trust. This feels like Bungie's next step in the process. Let's start with the shell dev insight, because that was clearly the right move. At launch, we're getting 6 shells, which are essentially like Marathon's class system, plus the Rook, which we'll get to later. You've got the Destroyer as a frontline aggressor, Assassin bringing invisibility and disruption, Recon focused on intel and tracking, Vandal leaning hard into speed and mobility, Thief with loot and enemy tracking and a grappling hook, and Triage, a support character and healer. More than I expected, honestly. And none of these feel redundant. Every shell has an identity, which is exactly what you want from a class-based extraction shooter. What I'm really excited to see is how team compositions shake out, and how fights change depending on the shell matchup. Personally, the first 3 I'll try are Thief, Assassin, and Recon. We also got a quick peek at some of the modifiers, the Vandals, Arm Cannon, and its variants, and a clip showing off a couple of the Destroyer mods. Modifiers can buff or fundamentally change how the abilities work per class, which adds another layer of variety. An interesting dynamic they showcased is how shells can counter each other. It's not a rock, paper, scissors system, but certain shells can clearly pressure or counter others. Bungie wants encounters to feel different depending on who you run into. Not just the gear they're carrying, but the shells they bring and how the team is built. And because these shells are visually distinct, you can actually read a fight before it starts. That said, it raises some questions for me. While certain counters like Recon versus Assassin are pretty clear, others aren't as obvious yet. I'm hoping all 6 shells have the same level of depth behind them. I also wonder if this focus on team synergy is part of why we haven't seen a duo mode. Of all the things Bungie added after going dark, better graphics, prox chat, solo queue, duos feels like a noticeable absence, and for a game focused on team play, this could become a problem. We've seen other team-based games launch without duos and quickly reverse course. Arc Raiders being the obvious one, Elden Ring Night Rain is another recent example. Another is the Rook shell that I mentioned earlier. It's a solo queue only. The intent of the Rook is to queue in a match already started, and it seems to have no abilities besides blending in with the AI. Its purpose is to get in, loot, exfil. What wasn't clear is whether Rooks queue in solo-only matches or they get placed into trio lobbies. Do we have a choice? I assume Bungie wants the Rook to have a reasonable chance to exfil, and forcing it into only trios seems a little rough. Although understandable, it's also disappointing you can't queue as a Rook in a trios group. So imagine playing with your friends and you need a quick farming run, you'd have to leave the group entirely. On the other hand, of course, imagine queuing up gear to the teeth and matchmaking curses you with 2 Rooks as your teammates. I'd be pissed. The March 5th release date and $40 price point tell you exactly how Marathon is positioning itself. This price point was widely speculated and confirmed and follows market trends. Helldivers 2 launched at $40. Arc Raiders launched at $40. At this point, $40 seems to be the standard in this space. A free open preview sometime before release was also confirmed. Arc Raiders' success has been fortuitous for Marathon. I'm sure they realize that and they're going to take full advantage. More people are paying attention than ever, on top of a loyal Bungie fan base that will probably play this game anyway. But what's also fascinating about this renewed marketing push is they're deliberately showing you how Marathon is not like Arc Raiders. Arc Raiders has no class system. Marathon leans hard into showcasing the shells. Arc leaned on controversial AI voice work, so Marathon went the opposite direction and showcased a very high-profile voice cast, some of the best in the industry. It feels like a line in the sand. Everyone loves extraction shooters now, but this is what makes Marathon different. I'm enjoying seeing the vision Bungie has for Marathon, and their presentation over the last month has been convincing. The visuals look better than ever. The shells look fun and distinct, and seeing the gunplay reminds me of the way Bungie games play that I'm familiar with. What I'd really like to see next is a closer look at the PvE element. How prevalent will it be? How important is it to the systems? And some insight onto progression, quest, missions. That's the next piece Bungie needs to show, whether it's in a Vidoc or in the free preview itself. If Bungie keeps this cadence of clear information, and of course get hype cinematics, Marathon has a real shot to earn back the trust it lost. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I appreciate you all. Take care.